right, we are live. Let me get the Amazon one going here. And we'll get the show on the road, as they say. Bear with me here, everybody. And today, we're going to be looking... We haven't looked at one of these in a while. We've looked at a few other... Well, we look at these from time to time, I should say. We have looked at this class of computer. But today, we are investigating the HP Stream 11. And we will be doing a live stream this afternoon, just kind of stepping through what it is and is not. And there's a lot of is-nots with this. But the best way to look at this is as the equivalent of a Chromebook, but it runs Windows. That's kind of the gist of this. So let me pull up my thing here and say hello to some friends, and we'll get cooking. William Wilkinson is here. Anthony Gwynn is here. Michael Kidd is here from Las Vegas. Adele is here. Jay is here. Nigel from Heathrow. And Jay is here from Brazil. We have quite the international representation here so far. So this is the HP Stream. Now, what's cool about HP lately is that they have a website or YouTube channel where they do full teardowns of most of their laptops. So they tore this one down already, so I don't have to take it apart. So we know that it's not upgradable. So you cannot upgrade the RAM and you cannot upgrade the storage. On some of these you can, this one you can't. The big question I have, and one that I think is likely answered, is that we don't know whether the RAM is dual channel or single channel. My suspicion is that it's likely single channel. It's 4 gigabytes of RAM. I doubt they split it into halves, so we'll find out for sure in a minute. That nerd Noah is here. Frank is here. David's here from wet Wales. It is wet here in Connecticut. We've had freezing rain, sleet, and now regular rain, and then it's going to change back to whatever's frozen. Not been fun. If you look at the pinned comment, it is in the pinned comment, and it is an N4020. Price point is $249. There's an Amazon link in the video description that will take you to this stream live. And this is like basic transportation. Very basic transportation. And it is pretty much the same as it was before. It's just a new version of it. Hey, we got somebody else from Las Vegas. You two should meet up. Ed Horn is here. Hello, Ed Horn. So yeah, these laptops have done well on this channel, so I always look for them. And it tells me not to use a knife to open it. I better be careful. This one I purchased, by the way, with my own funds. I'm going to be very gentle here with the knife in opening it. I can see why, though, because it's like hollow in there. I think I'll get it started, and then I'll crack it open this way. There we go. Yeah, they don't want the knife because the laptop is like right underneath it. That's why they don't want the knife. So we'll be very gentle. And let's take a look. Now, this has a couple of things on it that are new. The first is that it's got Windows 11 on board, or at least it's supposed to. And it's Windows 11 in S mode. So one of the first things we're going to have to do is take it out of S mode so we can actually do something with it. So that'll be task number 1 here. And let's get our power adapter out of here. And it looks as though, oh boy, they really packed it in. Like this power adapter is stuck in here, and I don't want to like unglue the cardboard. See if I can loosen it up a little bit. And it uses the barrel connector, so there is a USB-C port on it. However, I doubt that supplies power. I think it's just for data devices. So we will extract. They really did pack it in here pretty good. I like to keep everything together so that I can get rid of it, because we're going to be, I will sell this to one of you. This is an 11-inch laptop, so that's why it is so small. And we're not going to have to take it apart because HP has already done that on their YouTube channel, and it is not upgradable. And there's something, oh, it's just the Velcro. And there's a lot of Steam, yeah, I didn't get my Steam Deck yet. I did try to order one, and I have a I do have a slot, except it's not until like the second quarter of the year. So I will be much later on the Steam Deck. Flood of Sins is here. KS is here. Ethan Jackson is here. It does run Windows 11. In fact, I think it's got 11 installed on it, so we're going to check that out. Natural Beauty is here. View is here. Chinese Cardboard. It is, yep, it is from China, I think, so it is definitely that. And this is another good point. And actually, to answer the question that William has related to Michael's comment, is that S mode prevents the user from installing any software that's not in the Windows App Store. So there's a layer of security in that if somebody clicks on a link, it's far less likely that you're going to have software installed on it inadvertently. And that nerd Noah says, I wonder what the retention rate is. Yeah, I have a feeling they did S mode probably for the education market where these were kind of competing against Chromebooks. And I have to say, I just started, as you all know, I'm teaching a class at my alma mater, and so all of my university is not a Google place. It is a Microsoft-based campus. So I am getting experience with the Microsoft suite, which I haven't really had before. And I have to say, it is comparable to what Google offers. For a long time, it wasn't. But I'm liking it so far. Not more than Google. I think it's as good as. And these are designed to kind of work in that ecosystem. If you're an educational institution that, or an office, I guess, but this is pretty basic transportation. If you're in an institution that is using Microsoft, these are the Microsoft equivalent of a Chromebook. And I think maybe in those instances, they probably lock all the kids into S mode so they can't install anything on it. Ethan wants to know, why are they not using Jasper Lake? That is a good question. I'm guessing there's probably more of these processors available for the scale that they need. And Michael continues, yep, you and I are on the same page on that one. And Anthony's also in the Q2. Yeah, so I'll get the one thing about being in Q2 is that I have the ability, I think we'll benefit from all the things that'll be wrong with the first batch. Reese is here from South Wales, UK. Yes, there are, I don't know if there will be a 14-inch version. There have been in the past. I am not sure on this go around, but we'll see. And it's funny, this is the new one, but it looks almost identical to the ones we've looked at in the past. It feels the same. The keyboard is the same, and it is small. But the keys actually, and I've mentioned this with prior iterations of this laptop, the keys are nice and big. So it's not bad. They're probably a little smaller than your usual, but they're bigger than a lot of the chiclet keys out there. And it looks like it's got a bit of a, it's just a natural, well, not a natural, but it's a designed curve on the metal here. Or I don't know if this is metal. I think this is plastic that looks like metal. So it kind of curves up on the sides here. I'm not sure if that's by design or if I have a bad one. Trying to figure it out. No, it looks like it's like that on both sides. And we'll not be taking this apart because they already did so on the HP page. So I know what's inside of it, and I can grab that footage. And Anthony says it's a new version of Windows called Windows 11 SE. If it's not already like complicated enough as it is with a million different versions, right? Fierce 645, hello there on Amazon. And Ashgay is joining us from India late at night at 1 a.m. Thank you for joining us so late. This is a different chip than the Lenovo Duet. The Duet has an ARM processor, and this is running with an Intel N4020. All right, we are booting up. Again, don't expect much. And Mark Smith points out the storage is not enough, although these used to only come with 32 gigabytes, so they've doubled the storage. And again, check the pinned comment. I have the full specs in the pinned comment above, but it's 64 gigabytes. And Ed says, one of my clients, new IT provider, immediately began migration from Google to Microsoft. Yeah, I I like Google, just because it's like a force of habit for me, but I've been surprised, having used Microsoft now for the last couple of weeks at the university. It's not bad. It feels very comparable now. Another Steam Deck question. Yeah, I am getting one as soon as my ticket comes up. I had a hard time getting in on the queue, so I missed out. I mean, I was in it trying to hit the button, but I'm going to be getting mine late. And Darren is here. All right, so it looks like Windows 11 is what this comes with. And we'll need to get it set up here. So let's pick the right country. This looks like a TN display, so not an IPS. And it's not going to be as sharp as what you would get with an iPad, for example. And we've seen laptops around this price point that have a much better quality display. But these have always had a TN display on board, which is not as desirable. But you have to, like, when you review these things, you've got to look at, the price point and what its comps are. I did get in another one from a different brand. I think it's a Lenovo. It just came. I bought two of them. What I do occasionally is I go through Amazon and I look to see like what people are buying on the low end of the market, and I buy them. That's what I did here. So I bought this one. This is $250. I bought another one, I think a Lenovo, for $250, and we'll see. We'll see which one does better. And now we've got updates to install. And again, this is running Windows 11 by default. So it is Windows 11 compatible, and it's running in S mode. So let's let this thing do its thing here. And the RAM, yep, is permanently on the motherboard. And I'll add this to the pinned comment. I'm going to repost the pinned comment here. Oops. So we'll say specs, Intel N4020, 4 GB, 64 GB, not upgradable. And yeah, nothing is upgradable. I think you can pull the wireless card out. That's about the only thing that's replaceable on this. And it's funny, I was just reading Corey's comment here, and there's been a few others that have said the same thing. A couple of years ago, these only had 32 gigabytes, and it was just like right on the edge of what was usable. I don't know how Windows 11 handles updates versus 10, because I know on 10, like you would get this crud that would build up over time of past updates, and I don't know if they are managing it better now, but we'll see. Yeah, lots of comments on the RAM. And again, you got to look at where these things are in the market, but yeah. It is not a powerhouse by any stretch. And like I said, these are kind of like the Windows equivalents of Chromebooks. But it is fanless, so you got that. And what I'll be doing in a minute or two here is we're going to start installing software and doing our benchmarks. But of course, we've got to do the updates first. And actually, the first thing we have to do is take it out of S mode, because it won't let us install any software outside the Windows App Store if we don't do that first. Okay. All right, I got to review the licensing agreement here, and then I got to log in with my test account, which I will do in a second. But I think the value of these machines is probably not necessarily in the monetary sense, but so this comes with a year of Microsoft 365. And in the past, I didn't feel as though Microsoft 365 was as good as the Google thing, the Google suite, but it's gotten better over time. And I'm just going to log in with my other account here, because I want to use. We're going to load up Game Pass and just see what's possible. I don't think much, but you never know. You never know. I think we could run like the Doom and some of the older stuff on here, but that's probably about it. But we will see. All right. So I'm going to log in with my account that's on Game Pass so I can try to get that going. And give me 1 second here. And Mark Smith says the other Steam Deck review. Yeah, this is it. All right, we're almost there. Just getting through the rest of the setup process here. And then we will poke around with it and see what we can do. So Primus, here's my opinion on Windows 11. It's similar to my opinion on prior versions of Windows. If you don't need to install it, like if there's no, if something you're doing requires it, then of course you're going to have to go in that direction. But for example, my production machine here runs Windows 10, and I am not going to upgrade to Windows 11 until vMix, who makes the software that I use, tells me that it's time to upgrade, right? Because you got to be really careful with it. And bear with me here. I kind of want to skip this part, but I'm being forced to register it with HP. So once it's done with that, we'll go from there. So yeah, I mean, if you don't need to, there's nothing compelling to do with it. One thing I have done, though, just because I do this for a living, is I did install it. I just reset my whole gaming PC upstairs, and I did install Windows 11 on it, just to see what it's like, right? Just so I can get that experience with it. But everything I'm using for day-to-day production work, and production meaning this, but also anything else that my livelihood depends on, I am not going to go to 11 until I need to, right? But it's gotten better. Although now I've got another update here. Wouldn't it be weird if we got to the end of this installation process and it's like, hey, we don't have enough space to download the first update? That would be crazy. But it looks like this is getting like a big Windows 10 update here. So we're going to let that come down, and hopefully it won't take that long. But I will let you watch the screen. Ethan, yes, we will definitely try cloud gaming. And I actually expect cloud gaming to work well on this because these little Intel machines are really good video decoders. And because they are good video decoders, they're very good for game streaming typically. Let's see if I can find... Yeah, William says, these specs have not changed much over the years. If anything, the only thing they've really upped on this one is the storage. I think last year's had 64. But I like to check in on these just to see what they're like. Now, Michael Kidd has had no real issues with Windows 11. So that's good to hear. And that's something I found on my end with the gaming computer, is that it feels as though the underpinnings are still very much the same underpinnings as 10. And I don't think we've seen a lot of the new architectures yet in some of the software on Windows 11. But again, I'm not going to, in my vMix forums, everybody's like, don't do it yet. And even vMix themselves is like, we don't support it yet. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait. There's no reason to update. Windows 10 is still supported from a security standpoint, so I'm going to stick to it. Martin wants to know, is the screen still a TN panel? Yes. In fact, the screen looks pretty much the same as it has in prior editions, and it's the same resolution. This is a 720p display, which is not something we see that often in 2022, right? So when I first started doing these videos back in 2014 or so, this hasn't changed all that much since then. And I'm smelling something. Yeah, it's got a bit of a, I don't think it's like a burning smell, but it's got like a hot plastic fumey kind of smell to it. And it's definitely heating up right now as it's doing all these updates. And there's no fan on this. So if it catches fire, I have a fire extinguisher, and then you'll really have something to watch. Let's hope it doesn't happen, though. I really can't deal with that today. Nico likes the one with different colors. Yeah, one year they were doing those cool gradient colors on it, right? They looked really neat. And I think the keyboards had slightly bigger keys. I can't remember, though. And yeah, I'm smelling hot plastic. Right, or inhaling it, perhaps. It's an occupational hazard. And Fixie put it on their laptop, but the main PC still has 10. Yeah, the way I look at it is if your livelihood depends on it, stick with what we know works. And it looks like some folks are saying, and Corey brings up a point that I've heard before also, that AMD has some stuttering issues on Windows 11. My tech guy, Tim, did the one regedit to allow my Gen 3 i7 to load Windows 11, and it's been running great. So that's right, you can kind of shoehorn it onto machines that are not supporting it, quote unquote. And you have that risk down the road that they could decide to pull the rug out from you, right? And yeah, there are some Ryzen equivalents out there. I should try to find it. I've looked at some in the past. And these are harder for me to get, so I end up buying these. So I've got to be able to find them at retail. So if you know of one that's running Ryzen at around this price point, let me know. Email me, and I'll try to get one in. Because I got to buy these. Usually they loan me stuff, but these low-end machines are very low margin, so they don't market these. So that's why I got to buy them. And we're still waiting for the update to install. This is a big update. It must be like one of their, they must have like the first service pack equivalent on 11 here. So this is always the risk when we do these live. We don't know what we're going to get. We literally just took it out of the box and turned it on. And one thing I saw in the teardown that HP does on their YouTube channel, if you go to HP support, you'll see this great set. I mean, they tear apart every one of their computers on there now. Most of this computer is a battery. The battery takes up like all of this. So I'm guessing by its size that the battery life should be pretty decent on it. And Corey says, I'm smelling roasted Intel cooking burnt bacon. Could be what it is. It's subsided now. It could just be that my nose has gotten used to it. And yes, this is available. There's a navy one available. For a while, they had like these two-tone ones. They had like a purple one. They had some cool colors in the past. And they had a Pro Edition, which was like pretty much the same thing, but it was, I forgot what the difference was, but that one was like was gray or black, so because it looked professional. And Metro North has the IdeaPad 1 with the silver, the Athlon Silver. And you know, I've looked at some of those Athlon Silvers, and they seem to struggle a bit performance-wise. That's right, you do have an escape hatch on Windows 11 upgrades if you do that route. Now this one came with it. So although it's updating and it's taking a while, this came with Windows 11, and it looks like it is updating to the latest version of 11 at the moment. And it's downloaded everything, and right now it's doing the installation. It's at 37%. But that's right, who needs a backup? Just go with it. Just run with it. So we just got to wait for this to do its thing here. Do. All right, we are almost to the 50% mark. And we'll let it continue doing its thing. So what else is going on, everybody? I'm just sitting here waiting like everybody else has to for these Windows 11 updates. James is wondering, what storage do they ship now? Surely Windows 11 become, this is 64 gigs, eMMC. I think it's designed to run nothing but like the Amazon or the Microsoft 365 stuff. That is it. But there is an SD card slot, so you can augment it with that, although it'll be slower. And that's true. The Athlon, AMD has better performing graphics. And this one in particular is going to be hobbled by its memory configuration. I have a feeling this is single channel memory, so it won't be that fast. Transform, glad you like the channel. Yeah, I like to look at cheap stuff like this because it's not always the most, I'm not going to get a lot of clicks on the video necessarily just on its own, but I know people like to see like what can you squeeze out of a laptop that costs $250. And I think, if you look at the current shortages, I think the prices on these would probably be lower normally, or we would have seen slightly better specs on this than we ended up seeing. Because there is a whole new generation of these Intel processors at this low-end level, but we haven't seen those getting into these mass-produced computers. And I'm guessing it's because they can't get a hold of them. Because the new chips are a bit faster. And Mark Smith is old school, using the dual-channel Athlon with Vista. All right. My tech guy was wondering, do I play the Wordle game? Yeah, I do play Wordle because my wife does. And I always forget about it until I see everybody posting in the morning. So Wordle is fun. I wish I had written it because I would be walking away with $1 million right now. He sold it to the New York Times. Isn't that great? Alex wants to know, does the SD card sit flush now? Well, we could find out while we're waiting here. Because I so happen to have a micro SD. It's a micro SD card slot. Maybe I'll show you all the ports while we're waiting here. So let me turn off the thing here. Because I think the old ones had a full-size slot. This one has the micro slot. So on this side, you've got, and the ports are, not bad here. You've got an HDMI. This is 1.4, so I think you'll get maximum 4K, but only 30 frames per second. So 1080p 60 out of that is fine. There isn't much that will run at 60 FPS due to the hardware, but you got that. Full-size USB 3. This is the SD card slot. Let's put the card in and see how it fits. Yeah, it goes flush. So it pops in there like that. So that's flush, so that's good. So it does sit flush. So if you did want to augment the storage with the SD card, and what's crazy, you can get terabyte SD cards right now. What do those cost? Let's take a look. I think they're, let's see what those things cost. Wow. Okay, I had no idea. You can get a 1 terabyte micro SD card for $139 on Amazon right now. That is crazy. And there's like some of these no-name scam brands out there that are also selling them for 36 bucks. I would not even fathom that. The 512 gigabyte cards are like 70 bucks. You could really bump up the storage here quite easily, but it's not going to be as fast. Well, it's probably going to be about the same speed as the internal storage, but not fast as like an NVMe would be. Fierce is wondering, is that a Lightning 3 port? No, this is just a standard USB-C port. And I do not believe it is a full service port. I think it's only for data devices. I will test that though to figure out what it can do. And then on the other side here, this is your Kensington lock, because it's cheap, but you don't want people walking away with it, so you can lock it down here. And then you've got another full-size USB port, and then your headphone microphone jack. And then on the bottom, you have your speakers. And we're not going to take this apart today because they already did so on the HP teardown support channel. So we have a look as to what this thing looks like inside on that YouTube channel. And I'll be rolling that B-roll in with my video. The weight. Mark is wondering about the weight. I need to look that up, but it's good that you asked because I can add it to my notes. So let's look for the weight on it. It doesn't feel like it's more than 2 pounds, but I will get the full weight for you on that. Let's see. The weight on this one, 2.37 pounds is the weight. And I'll confirm that just to be certain, but I'm pretty sure that's what it weighs. Let me just look through here real quick and see if it mentions the weight. They're saying 13 hours. And I believe that because this entire, like the entire inside is a battery. So it's got a huge battery. So I think that will work. And then it always varies though based on what you're doing with it. But you can't do much on it. So it's not like you're not editing video on this thing. But let me look it up directly just to see if I can get the actual weight here. Okay, so they say it comes in at 1.05 kilograms in pounds. So yeah, 2.31 pounds or 1.05 kilograms. So that weight on Amazon includes the shipping box. So we're going to say 2.3 pounds. Well, that's about right. 2.3 pounds or just over a kilogram, 1.05. And we're still waiting for the update to finish up here. So we'll let that finish. Jay has a great question because I did encounter, what did we encounter with that UFS? There was one laptop I looked at, I think it was a Samsung laptop in this class a while ago that had that Samsung format. And I was eager to try to find a memory card to test that. I remember trying to look and buy a memory card for it and I couldn't find one anywhere. But I haven't seen one since. So I don't know if it's kind of a failed thing. Corey brings up another good point. If you can, use one of those USB ports to connect Ethernet. I agree with that. Much more reliable connection. It is AC Wi-Fi though, and where I am right now, there's nobody else using the AC Wi-Fi, so for me it's probably fine on Wi-Fi. But you're right, it'll move a little quicker. This actually is not downloading, it's the updating that it's it downloaded a lot faster than it's updating. And JF wants to see the back, bottom, and sides. Yep, sure. So here's the bottom. So you could take it apart if you wanted to, but again, I watched the video on the HP teardown channel, the support channel. There's nothing inside that you can really do to this thing, so I'm not going to take it apart. But the screws are underneath the feet, so you got to take the feet off, and they never get back on the same way. You got 2 speakers here, stereo speakers, and then the other side, just your standard HP fare. It is, hard plastic. It's not metal. It feels nice though. It doesn't feel, I mean, I guess it feels like it costs, but it doesn't feel cheap, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel as cheap as some of those generic laptops you might find from Jumper and others out there. But yeah, no, this is actually not downloading. It downloaded like about 20 minutes ago. It's just the install. It's taking it a long time to install the update. And yes, it is completely fanless, so it makes no noise, but it's going to throttle instead of making noise. But since at this rate, yeah, no, remember this is, yeah, so I should have mentioned that it's not, it finished downloading a while ago, so it's not the bandwidth, it's just the installation speed. But it's the eMMC combined with the 4 gigs of RAM combined with the N4020 processor, and there you go. And it is very warm right now. It's not alarmingly hot, but it's funny, when you compare things here, it's definitely, so the motherboard is right underneath here. It's definitely warm. And the funny thing with this stuff is that I can be outputting a video on my fanless MacBook Air, and it's not as hot as this thing is updating Windows. Like, my MacBook Air never gets hot. I mean, it doesn't even get warm sometimes. Or if it does get warm, it's slightly warm, but not as hot as that felt. And maybe it's just because the MacBook has aluminum to kind of spread out the heat a bit, better than the other. Roger P. is joining us on Amazon. Hello there. Mark A. makes a good point. Yep, Chrome OS is a lot less complicated, especially if you don't have Linux installed on it. And Jay says, I can't wait to see Linux. And I bet you Linux is going to run just fine on it. I believe it will. And I think my phone does have more RAM than this. I have an iPhone Pro 13. I know my Android phones have more RAM than this. And yep, the storage speed makes all the difference. We are at 86% now. I'm almost to like, so there's step 2 of 3 is the installation. So I don't know what step 3 is, because it's the first step is download, then it's install, which is taking the longest. And then step 3 is, I don't know what step 3 is. You would think after it's installed, it's done, but we'll have to take a look. And Metro North runs SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. And he gets over 30 frames per second on the Athlon computer with 2 cores and 4 threads. Yeah, there are games that run on these things. And the AMDs are always going to do better. Roger P. wants to know, does this have Windows? It's Windows. Yeah, this is Windows 11. Which is why it's taking so long. And actually, it's kind of funny because if you did buy a Chromebook at this price point, we would be using it already, right? There's far less to update. Okay, now it's moved on to stage 3, which is preparing to restart. Whenever I hear like preparing to restart, I think of Spaceballs, right? Prepare to fast forward, fast forwarding. Okay, here we go. Now it's restarting. So we're getting there. Step 3 is profit. Or step 3 is you can get back to work, right? Price on this is $250. You can check out the Amazon link in the description. It'll take you right to the live stream that we're doing. By the way, if you haven't followed me on Amazon, oh, now it's got another thing that it's doing. So now it's another percentage counter. So now we're 8% there. I wonder if this is a good out-of-the-box experience for people, right? Like, you buy this thing, you're eager to use it, your kid wants to get their computer going, and it's like, you gotta wait. Although I remember when my dad bought the Apple IIe, we had to take it apart and install cards and stuff. That was kind of intimidating for me as a second grader. Yeah, Martin is thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Well, you know what's funny? I remember when I got the Wii U, the update took hours. And I'm just thinking, like, I actually made a video. This is like in the very, very early days of my YouTube channel. I was actually working for a local publication here doing tech stuff. And when I was working on that, I remember advising parents that if you bought your kid a Wii U for Christmas, like, take it out of the box and update it now, because you're going to sit, like, it took like 2.5, 3 hours. Think how like disappointing that would be to have that Wii U on Christmas and not be able to use it for 3 hours. Because then there was like this whole process of transferring your account from the other Wii and Roger P. on Amazon wants to know what the price, what the specs are, and I did not. I can't pin comments on Amazon. So it's an N4020, 4 gigs of RAM, and 64 gigs of storage. So we just got through the step 1, 2, and 3 of the update, and now we're on another step, which is like an undocumented or undisclosed step 4, which we're at 30%. And I'm guessing this is post-installation and now implementation? I'm not sure. Nico has a good question about A1. Yeah, they added a new thing, and it's just on the micro SD cards. Let me look and see what that means. So A1 is referring to minimum, here, let me see if I can pull up the, Okay, so for an A1 card, it has to meet 1500 IOPS, which stands for input-output access per second. So A1 cards are registered for 15, or have to meet 1500 input-output accesses per second on reads, random reads, and random writes have to be able to support 500 input-output accesses per second. The sustained sequential write speed of an A1 card has to be a minimum of 10 megabytes per second. Now, there's also a V rating on the card. So, for example, my card here is A1, but there's no V rating on this one. All right. But the V rating on cards that you'll see is also in megabytes per second. So if you have like a V20, then that's 20 megabytes per second. Now, if it's A2, it's 4,000 IOPS on random read, 2,000 IOPS on random write. So it's significantly faster. But the device you're plugging it into has to support that. I doubt you'll get the most out of an A2 card on one of these things, just given the low performance. Lisa Clayton, yes, it is taking a very long time to start up, partly because there was a big Windows 11 update. But this is what a customer will have to experience. I'm going to put that into my notes here because that is a concern. Look at that. We're finally here. So I think I started around like 2:15, and we had a little bit of banter here, but I'm guessing it's been about a half hour to get to just logging into this thing. But now I can log into it. So let's take a look and see what we got. All right, now we got more to do. And remember, with a Chromebook, we would be done with our work already on a Chromebook. This thing would be up and running already. And Basic Pixel says, yeah, Windows updates is going to be a 20. Oh, we got more. There's more to do. It's almost comical at this point. I'm gonna pull B-roll off of this stream because it is kind of crazy that it's taking this long. And by the way, we haven't even gotten to removing S mode yet. And thank you, JF. That's kind of you to say. Actually, it seems fast for me, too, because I have somebody to talk to while I'm waiting for this thing. Normally, I would just set it and forget it. Yeah, it doesn't have that Cortana thing talking to you. So you got that going for you. Because believe me, I hear that a lot when I am here in the office, because we're always resetting PCs to send them back. But now we're going to wait for whatever it's doing now. I mean, didn't we just go through this? I guess not. See, they've got to improve this. And I'm guessing if I had bought a faster Windows PC, so here's the thing. I have not received many higher performance PCs running Windows 11 yet. I think I have 2 that just came in. I'll have to ask Jake if he's encountering slowness on these. What happens a lot of the time, and this is an exception because I bought this at retail, but when I get the loaner computers in, they usually have them set up before they send them out because they obviously want to test them before they send them to the media. So this is always fun just to see what the consumer experience is like. Almost there. This is like driving in the car with mom and dad, right? We're almost there. Okay, it looks like I've got something. All right, here we go. And where's the rest of it? There we go. Okay. We are finally here. And now we've got to get the Windows S mode deactivated on this sucker. So let me refresh my memory on how to do that. So right now, yeah, are we there yet? Right now, this is in S mode, which means that we cannot install software. So let's see, turn off Windows 11 S mode. We cannot install software that is not from the Windows Store. So here's an example of that. So let's say I want to install Google Chrome. This thing is super laggy, by the way. I'm guessing, geez, what is going on here? Oh, I've got to confirm that I'm okay with Microsoft Edge. So you cannot get, as far as I know, you cannot get Google Chrome through the Windows App Store. So what we're going to do here is search for it. And then, of course, they hit you like, hey, you don't really want Chrome. Seriously? You don't want that. That's what they try to tell you. Now, what's going to happen here is we're going to download Chrome, even though it's like telling me not to. They really don't want me downloading this. This is the world we live in now. It's like, you really shouldn't download this, even though they would never have gotten away with this when they were under scrutiny. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to get this message that says, you're in S mode, sucker. So let me just grab a little bit of B-roll here so you can see what this screen looks like. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? It also shows me how to get out of S mode. So we're going to call this Stream 11. And this is funny, isn't it? It's telling me like, hey, use Microsoft Edge because it uses the same open source technology as Chrome. Use that instead. All right, so let's grab a few more seconds of B-roll here. I'm just going to grab 30 seconds of this. And Roger P. wants to know how much RAM this has, because I don't have the ability to pin comments on Amazon. This has 4 gigabytes of RAM, not a lot. And Windows used to be a bit friendlier. I think Windows 11 is feeling a little sluggish on here, but we just booted it up, so I'm going to be a little more open-minded here. Now, to get out of S mode, it is taking me right now to the Windows Store. So when you're in S mode, the only things you can install are things that are in the store. And then to get out of S mode, you can go and grab this switcher app out of the store. And that will get us to a point where we can install our own software on here. And now I've got to remove a device or two from my account because I have too many things on my Microsoft account. They don't make it easy. So bear with me, folks. You know what's funny is my Xbox Series X is on the list of devices that count towards the 10. So let me unlink this one. So I've got a bunch that I'm not using right now. But here's what's interesting. My Xbox One S and my Xbox Series X are both counting towards the 10 that I'm allowed to have on my account. So I have an Xbox Series X upstairs, and I have the One S down here. Let me get rid of a few other ones on here, too, because I have a few that I haven't used in a long time. So let me unlink that one. And we do this frequently because what happens is we get computers in for review. Every time we hit 10, we got to get rid of all the ones that we forgot to take out of our account. All right, let's see. This is from 2017, so this one is probably not in use anymore. Yes, I only have... and then I don't know which one... because I also have a little Surface Go laptop, and I don't know which of those is that, but we're good enough for now. So let's back out of there. We'll go back to the Windows Store and try this again. So we have to get this switch out of S mode thing going. So now it's working on it. And then when this installs, I'm guessing there's going to be another reboot. and then we're all set. Oh, I've switched out, so we're done. Well, that's pretty easy. Okay. So let me just, I don't think you can turn it back on either. So once you get out of it, you're done. I guess you have to reinstall to get that. All right, so let me just do a quick thing here. This is going to be, and this is, so pretty easy to get out of that mode. So now we're out of that mode, and now if I go to install Google Chrome from my downloads folder here, it should let us do that. Not before it complains about me using Google Chrome, of course, but we'll see how it goes here. And Red Hornet, thank you for posting the specs on the Amazon chat. Much appreciated. So now we can install Chrome. And that's one of the things that I like to do on these devices. We like to kind of measure everything on a apples to apples kind of basis here, or Windows to Windows kind of basis. So we run Chrome and kind of run through a benchmark test on that. And where did it go? There we go. Now it does have, I'm going to probably uninstall this. It's got McAfee Personal Security on it. And when you only have 4 gigs of RAM, you don't need that. It's intrusive. I think it uses more memory than it needs to. So I'm going to pull that off just to give this a fair shake. And I'm going to recommend that people do that, because Microsoft's virus software is fine. But this will give you a feel, like every laptop we review, this is the kind of stuff that we go through on the channel. This is not like, it's work. And I'm not complaining about it, but it's just, I just want everyone to be aware of like what goes into a review, because you got to get this stuff to a point where you're not, you get rid of all the bad stuff, you run all the updates on it, get all the drivers brought up to date, because you don't want to be wrong, or you don't want to have something not function, what is going on with this thing? Not function correctly. I got to tell you, I'm a bit surprised that it's as laggy as it is, because this has not been my experience with, see, it's not even letting me get out of, oh, it wants me to, this maybe? It's not letting me close out of Edge here. Edge is like locked up. And I suspect partly because of the antivirus software could be why it's kind of freezing up like this. But what's been funny is over the years, these little stream computers have surprised me with their performance, and they've surprised me with their performance right out of the box. And I am not yet feeling it here, but I'm going to give it a fair shake by getting rid of that McAfee software, because I have a feeling that that is really hindering things. You do not need that. And all it's going to do is bug you to pay the money when Microsoft has a perfectly good virus scanner built in. And oddly, if you have it in S mode, you're pretty well protected as it is. Like, you don't need it, especially if you have S mode. So let's go in and get rid of that. So we're going to go add, remove programs. Exactly. So Windows Defender, in my opinion, Windows Defender is fine. And Corey brings up a good point. Yep, it is resource intensive. However, I like to test it because that's what we put this up against everything else. So all the prior stream machines, all the prior machines running with this, with this operating system on board has also run Chrome. So what I'm doing now is I'm just getting rid of this McAfee Personal Security. That'll probably free up some space too. And it looks like it's uninstalled. Wow, it went pretty quietly. It didn't like give me a whole string of nonsense. Let me just look and see if Windows Defender is on here. Windows Security, Virus and Threat Protection. Let's go back to all right, so we are good on the virus and threat protection, so it looks like it's all enabled. Just click on that. Yeah, we're good. Okay. All right, so I'm going to reboot this just to be safe. And then we're going to run some benchmarks on this sucker. So let's go power, restart. And let's see how it does when we boot back up. Stenko says it's crypto mining in the background. Yeah. Yeah, I've made about $70,000 since the stream began. I've been mining my own NFT. And the second I saw some movement of the coin, I cashed out all the liquidity. I've been watching too much of CoffeeZilla, who goes after these crypto people, right? I have no NFTs. I have no plans for an NFT. I tried to do one, but it was too complicated. And I wasn't even doing it to like sell it. I just wanted to see how you make one. But I never bothered doing it. Let's see. Yeah, and this is like, I think, a very good point. You know, a Chromebook is so much easier to get started with. And, you know, you think to a degree, too, you know, from a consumer market, it's one thing education, I get it. Like, education, you know, you're equipping kids in the classroom with this thing, S mode is fine, right? You know, shift that to the consumer market, and, you know, I don't know, so my stream has been going for 48 minutes. I missed a super chat here from Mark. Oh, Mark Bollinger. Thank you for your super chat. Much appreciated. I missed that a little bit earlier. So, and it's not a knock on HP. It's a knock on just this notion. Like, this thing should boot up, ready to go. But we've spent now the better part of an hour, probably 40 minutes, updating, waiting, updating, removing antivirus, getting us out of S mode. And now we have a Windows PC. And I think the big, I'm going to put this in my notes too. If you're buying a Windows PC, you want to run Windows software on it, right? So, you know, it might have made more sense. And this is not anything new. S mode has been around for a while. But you might want to give the user the choice at boot about whether or not to go with S mode. And Microsoft ships their own machines with S mode. I think I know the Surface Go tablet had S mode on it initially when I bought it. I can't remember if my other one, my Surface Laptop Go, had it or not. Okay, so now we are up without McAfee. The good news is there isn't much in the way of other bloatware on here. Now, before we do anything else, let's look at the memory space here. So let's go over to the Performance tab. So here, check it out. This is without anything. Like, we installed Chrome, but we're not running Chrome right now. So let me pull it up here so you can see the... So first of all, the CPU is running because it's probably doing something. And maybe it's another set of updates. I'm not sure. Let's go and look at the processes here. So what is consuming the CPU? Yeah, Windows Update. So it's still not done with its updates. So there's something else cooking here. Oh, what was that? What was that? Yeah, so there's stuff like updating still. Even though it did all the updates, it's still updating. And so here's the other thing. Like, your experience out of the box here is that your computer is updated, you booted up, you logged in, but now it feels like it's slow. And it's slow because it's doing a bunch of other updates in the background. Now, I'm guessing these things are supposed to disable themselves, you know, when the system is idle. But look at the memory usage, right? I mean, this stuff, it's not easy, you know, it doesn't just go away. So let's go look at, and Mark in the Amazon chat has a good point. Like, why do you need the antivirus on S mode anyhow? And you're right. I mean, it's designed not to allow software to be installed outside of the Windows App Store. The only thing I could think of is that, you know, there are Windows vulnerabilities that it runs into from time to time. There could have been, you could have something in, you know, a backdoor through JavaScript that gets in through the Edge browser that could, you know, create a scenario where you'd want that protection. So I could see that. But let me go into Windows Update here and see what we have here. Yeah, this thing is chugging along here, but it's doing something. So that's why it's chugging. All right, so if I go into Windows Update here, let's see what we got. I may have to do this as a two-parter because I got to go soon. Okay, look at all this. It's not done. I kid you not. Here, let me. I got to record some B-roll here. Give me a second here. Oh my goodness. I don't know whose fault this is. I'm guessing it's kind of a Windows thing, right? I mean, it's. But you can see why when we get these computers in on loan, they spend time to get them all put together. So in addition to what we just did, which was a big update, there's all this stuff, and then there's this one, which is the cumulative update, which is available but optional. So let's just do this, because again, I got to do this right. So we're not going to run benchmarks until it's done with everything it needs to do. All right. And I got to send Jake a code here. All right, so that's going now. Okay, so we're going to wait a little bit longer. The good news is these are often like driver updates and smaller things. Yeah, these are mostly, and this is a good one. I mean, we're going to be running some graphic benchmarks on it, so that's important. Looks like there's a BIOS update. But you think it would have done all that when we first got it going. There goes the display driver. That's the updated display driver going, I think. I hope. Oh, yep. Yep, there you go. But think of this from the consumer perspective. You get this thing and like you spend, and your first experience is it being sluggish and an endless array of updates coming in. And I can almost guarantee you that the other one we're going to look at, the Lenovo, is probably going to have the same problem. So I think this is more a Microsoft problem than it is. So let's see where this ends up. And Mark Dell says, at least watching a defrag was more interesting. Yeah, my kids are already home from school here. We're still waiting for this thing to update. Now put yourself in the shoes of like the school IT staff. So you get this in, and you're getting this ready for the school year, and you're spending an hour on each of them to update them. The Chromebooks are just it's a very different experience. Now, what the heck is this? Okay, I don't even know what that is. We've seen that now a couple of times, that black box that appears. So we'll let that finish up there. Yeah, it did do 2 video driver updates. This might be, I don't know what that is. Roger P wants to know, what Chrome OS or Android tablet can I get at the same price? You can get a lot. If you go through Amazon and look for Chromebooks, you'll find a bunch that cost about what this one does. And they'll have similar performance, but you'll have a faster, faster experience getting going. But this is brutal. I don't even know what it's doing. And BeigeBox suspects that it could just be the storage speed, which I think is probably playing a huge part of that, for sure. But also, remember, this doesn't have a fan, and so it's going to slow down as these updates put the computer under load. Because remember, that processor was running at 100% when we looked at it. So this thing's been running like full blast since we turned it on. So it's got to be doing a bunch of throttling here. Even my mouse is starting to... It's still bursting though a little bit, so that's good. But yeah, we're just, yep. Yeah, and this is why, but you know, this is important because I think it's important for people to know what the consumer experience is going to be with one of these and to set expectations. You know, this is not an expensive laptop. It is a budget laptop. But the question is Windows 11 well suited on one of these? Because we have looked at many HP streams of the prior generations in the past, and it's been a very good experience in my experience in the past. So we will see how this comes together here. And Dave for Shmup says it's funny how this is compatible with Windows 11, but an i7 from, yeah, well, you know, that's what's funny is these this generation of Intel low-end chips are fully compatible with Windows 11, but you're right, that more powerful i7 is not. But this is all Microsoft here. I don't want to, you know, I don't think it's HP's fault. It's just how the OS is interacting with this hardware. Mark Smith wants to know how hot is it? What the heck is that? It's not hot. The bottom is a bit. I would say it's warmer than. It's slightly warmer than warm, but it's not hot per se. But it's definitely throttling at this point, for sure. And we'll see when we get the Lenovo one out. I can almost guarantee you it's going to be the same experience here as we onboard it. And now it's just like frozen as we're waiting for all this stuff to get updated here. And this is the update app that's given us this. Who knows? And this is when people like start turning things off and making it worse, right? So we'll see where it goes. So Dizzy brings a good point about, you know, maybe buying one of these off-lease business computers, and that would give you better performance for sure. I think the place for this, if I had to take a, you know, I think there's a value point for this in the sense that you get a new computer. If you are an institution, a school or whatever, I think it's valuable to have new hardware that's all the same. You get a warranty with it. You may actually need to take advantage of it. We'll see how this thing comes together here. And as we'll discover in the course of the review, we may not even get to it today, is that these do actually make decent little Linux computers because it will run Ubuntu just fine. And to Frosty's point exactly, I think this might be, you know, for the techies out there, Ubuntu would be a good target for this. Roger P. wants to know, did I check out the Lenovo IdeaPad 3 Chromebook? I think I did. I'm going to be seeing them next week in New York, actually, so I'll probably get a little hands-on with it. But yeah, it's still cooking. I don't even know what to do at this point. And a lot of times it's like the anti-malware service executable is like checking their own software. And like you think about it, is it necessary to have all this anti-malware heuristics going on if they could just verify the, you know, the whatever, the MD5 hash of the software that they're installing? Might be quicker to do that. And you know, it could be, because my HP is cooking now, so I wonder if that's the firmware update going in. But again, put yourself in the shoes of like the average consumer here. So that's kind of the, yeah, Markel, uninstall. Yeah, remember those days? Man, those were awful. I bought I remember you know, there was all these experiments in the early 2000s of like these crazy startups that were just giving stuff away. So one of those was this company called freepc.com. I got my mother one, and they sent you a compact mini tower. It was a Celeron-based computer. It wasn't very fast, but it was decent. And they sent you this computer. It was a compact. It wasn't like anything, you know, it was like stock commodity hardware. And the deal was it would run, but it would always have ads around the edge of the screen. So you would have a usable portion of the screen in the, like it was like in the middle here, and then the edge of the screen was all advertising. That didn't go over very well. And they went out of business, and then they just said, keep the computer. So I wiped it out and put regular Windows on it, but there was no restriction for that. So, you know, it was interesting. But yeah, in the review, we're going to talk about the setup process here. And this is all Windows 11. I don't even think this is like an HP problem. So the other computer that I got, in case you're wondering, well, I'm waiting for this thing to do something. I mean, it's doing something. I just don't know what. The other one that I bought over the weekend, which I have in stock here now, is the Lenovo IdeaPad 1. Oh, this one's a little nicer, so it's a little more expensive. So the IdeaPad 1, which I will put in, it's got similar specifications. So the IdeaPad 1 from Lenovo has a 14-inch HD display. And remember, HD is 720p. So it's 1366 by 768. And I paid more, but for some reason, I got to write to them because it's on sale today. So I should get a discount on this one. I'm going to send a note to customer service on that. Yeah, they dinged me $2.99. I'm going to send them a note. If you do that, by the way, Amazon will usually credit you if you get a lower price the next day. So the Lenovo is the same specifications. It's the same processor, the N4020 with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage. So I know it's just a larger screen, but the same resolution. So I can tell you we're going to go through exactly the same thing with that Lenovo as we're going through with this one. No question, because this is all on Windows here. And how long are we into this now? So now we are an hour. So I would say if I look back in my printer, hang on a second. My wife is printing stuff and my printer is freaking out. Hang on a second. I would say that we've been at this now an hour and we still don't have a working computer. Remove tray 1. Yeah, my wife is printing stuff and the thing just jammed. Hang on, everybody. Bear with me, folks. The IT department will be summoned shortly, so I may as well fix it now before she calls me looking for help. And how do I get into this thing? So it's trapped in the back of the printer. I got to pull out the whole mechanism here. I still can't get to it. Show me. Hang on a second, folks. Almost there. Remove tray 1. Oh, I see. I'm going to make one from the bottom. Remove the jam page, which I did. I think the jam page is in the back of the... I'll pull it out here. Too bad I don't have my camera with you so you can see what I'm doing here right now, but there we go. Let's get this thing out. There we go. All right. All better. If I cleared the jam, yes. All right. Oops. I used to do that for a living, but now I do it for the home. All right, where are we at? No change, huh? Part of me just wants to reboot it and see what happens. Let's see if we can do that. Let's restart. And we're going to come back to this state, unfortunately, but all right, here we go. One app is still, let's restart anyhow. And this is not good because I know what's going to happen when this comes back up. And the printer is still complaining. Hang on a second, folks. And this printer, for some reason, like it just like push tab down. So it thinks there's still a page stuck in there, but oh, there is one stuck in there. Jeez. All right, now I got it. You know, she was printing double-sided and it locked up there. All right, this is not done. There it goes. Okay. I have a Lexmark laser printer, which is generally a pretty good machine. All right, here we go. All right, so it came back quicker that time, didn't it? And that's because a bulk of its drivers got installed. But if we check the task manager, we're going to see that it's still pegged out on its CPU. Now, I want you to look at this. See how it's at 2.7 gigahertz? It's going to drop like a rock because the second it gets too hot, it throttles down. And so this is part of the problem. You have slow storage, and then you have a processor with no active cooling. And you'll see that burst speed decline rapidly. We looked at a mini PC that was designed to very aggressively cool the processor. And what it was able to do was actually keep it running at its burst speed all the time. But what you'll see here as this continues is that the CPU percentage will still be 100%, but it's going to be running at a lower speed. So let's see what happens here. It's actually not throttling yet, but it will. All right, we're almost there. Can I show the disk information? I don't know if you can get the disk information on here. Can it? I think I can do it in this part here. Yeah, so this is the Windows installer still cranking away there. Yeah, but now you can see, look at that, we're down to 1.8. See how it dips? That's the throttling. So you get, and it's deceiving because it tells you it's at 100%, but it's actually running at what, almost half the speed it was before, right? And you have multiple cores that all have tuned themselves down that way. So that's kind of what you run into here. This is like all a Windows 11, and I wonder if Windows 11 is a bit too much for the hardware here. Let's go back into Windows Update. And I got a jet and about. We're not getting much done here, are we? This will give us another thing that we can do on a stream coming up. I was hoping to be much further along so I could maybe shoot this tomorrow, but that ain't happening. Maybe I'll work on it tonight a little bit. Okay, so now we're still downloading a few of these. So there's only 2 left. I'm not going to do the cumulative right now. But we did, and actually that wasn't, so the display was going blank, but it wasn't actually installing the driver. Now it is. And can we click on and see it per core? Let's see. Change graph 2, logical processors. Yeah, there's only 2 cores. And there's no hyper-threading, if I'm not mistaken, because that's logical cores. But this might be an area where ARM Windows might do a little better. Okay, so now it wants me to restart for the cumulative .NET framework update, but I want to wait for the Intel display driver to finish installing. And that is where we will sit. So we'll see where it goes. Hang on a second, everybody. Check and see if it printed everything. Because you were doing double-sided?
Oh, I didn't know I was.
And I still had the tray opened in the back because you printed that check the other day. So that's probably what happened. All right, so now, I wonder if it's not going to install the display driver until it does this other thing here. Mark Dell says, can you hook this up to an eGPU? That would be fun. Actually, you know what? You can't on this one, but the ones that have Actually, can you do it through the Wi-Fi? Because we've done that before where we could meld a PCI Express slot onto one of these things. Because I did do that on one of my mini PCs, but I think that might have been in a NVMe storage slot. I have to check. I know that Mark says, "Why didn't I invoice her?" I should invoice. Yeah, that's good. Those are billable hours for that printer support call. Makes you wonder how much of the economy is like what percentage of the economy is from printer. I'm just going to hit the restart here. Is from printer uncloggings or unjammings. Makes you wonder. But yeah, I'm not seeing much to like about Windows 11 here on the low end. It runs fine on my gaming PC upstairs with all that horsepower, but this thing is just, I mean, we are an hour into this, and Windows 11 is still not running on this computer. And yeah, some questions about why they're not using the new Jasper Lake processors. My guess is availability. And I think this is similar to what we saw with that Lenovo Chromebook tablet. I think they had to make a lot of these to hit the beginning of the school year, or at least get into that demand cycle. And I'm guessing there's probably not enough of these processors around, so they're using what they've got left on the N4020s. Although those are probably in demand on Chromebooks. I just don't know. And Mark, yes, completely. Most of my IT life was spent unclogging printers, or usually just buying new ones, and that and the copy machines. And it could just be there's so many moving parts in them. I'm guessing that's a big part of it. But yeah, I've only got a few more minutes here, so we're going to have a part 2 on this one, everybody. Sorry I couldn't show you more. But that's the ropes. They say it's like live TV, you can't predict it. Wait a minute. More updates. And Roman's got a good suggestion here. Open up System Monitor to see if it's maxing out the cores. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you, Roman. Roman's my go-to guy on this stuff. You win. This is the comment of the afternoon right here. The hour-long Windows Update Simulator. Somebody should make a game called Update Simulator. Oh my goodness. Yeah, here's the thing with the chip shortage is that we are going to swing like one way and then to the other. So right now we're on the shortage side. They're going to get everything ramped up, and it is going to be a glut because there's orders for stuff that these companies don't need. They ordered a lot because they anticipated a shortage. So there's just going to be so much inventory in a few months, maybe in a year, that mark my words, I would say a year and a half from now, remember that $99 Chromebook tablet we looked at recently? That's going to be, like in the low end of the market, you're going to see that all over the place. These things are going to be, like, they're going to be giving them away without ads because it's just too much stuff. I am testing the slow TV waters. Yes, we're testing it all out. And Frosty says, I'm pretty sure that game comes with... Maybe we'll call that Windows Update Simulator. That's what we'll call this live stream. Oh my goodness. I bet what happened here is that here's what I think happened is Microsoft is like, Windows 11 is the future. We want to install this on every computer. So we are going to incentivize you manufacturers for making sure that Windows 11 is on every computer you ship. And it's like the base version, the intro version, knowing that when you get it, you're going to install the update as you put it together. But And I'm not exaggerating the time length here. I mean, we literally spent an hour, over an hour. And this is like the 5th time that we're back to this. Windows 10 on these little machines was so much better. And that was one of the things that really surprised me, because when Windows 10 came out, I still have it upstairs. I have a tablet with like 1 gig of RAM that actually ran Windows 10 quite well. It was really good at low end. I am not feeling that right now on this one. All right, let's go in and see if we're done with Windows updates yet. I bet you that driver is still waiting for me in there. What do you think? Let's take some bets on this. Because I got to get the wrap-up going. And I've got a meeting at 6. I got to get ready for class tomorrow. I'm teaching that class. Tonight you're going to learn all about my college class, if you're curious. All right, we still have the driver and the cumulative. Oh, now it's doing. So, good Lord. Okay, so the display driver is going in now, so that's going to blink our display. But check this out. This cumulative update is different than this one. So this is like another big update. And this one isn't too shabby either. This is like another one of those big. My goodness. And Windows 11 has not been out that long, so this is like pretty crazy. Now, what's our storage space looking like? I know some people were asking about the disk utilization. I think that's part of it too. So let's go back to the task manager. And let's see what the disk utilization is. Now, the only thing, by the way, we've installed on this so far is Chrome. So we're running about 30% disk utilization right now, or a little bit more now. Now, it's going to vary as these updates install, right? Because it's varying the degree of read and writes to the disk. But if we go to the computer storage here, so you're going to get, it's actually a little better than I thought, about 29 gigabytes free out of 57.4. Remember, it takes part of that 64 for the recovery partition. There goes the Windows, the display driver again. So let's look at, yeah, so the assumption here, I would say you probably have about 30-ish gigabytes. So luckily, these updates have not consumed too much of the storage just yet. But it's still installing the display driver. So, well, here's what I'm going to do, everybody. Mark, set your notifications, and we're going to come back to this maybe tomorrow. And Mark says, "What up? I like the updates. Oh, here do you like updates? So I gave you an update for your update, so you can update after your update." Yeah, that's pretty much what it's come down to here. I don't think this low-end hardware is really well suited for Windows 11 just yet, is my initial takeaway. But we'll see how it runs when it actually gets up and running. Michael K. Williams wants to know, if you go to Lon.TV/live streams, you can find my my prior ones. Those are all archived up on Amazon, so you can check them out over there. And give me a follow over there, because they actually notify people better than YouTube does. All right, so now what? Now it's pending restart on the display driver. So let's do that. Yeah, and that's it, right? And that's why people leave their computers updating overnight. And I think, too, so this is like here's the problem with this, is that, and I was talking about this at the outset, like where does this thing sit in the marketplace, right? Like, what is its value proposition versus a Chromebook? And I would say, and again, I having now been, for my part-time gig teaching at my alma mater, it is a Microsoft campus, so everything is Microsoft 365, or whatever they call it. And I'll tell you, it is so much better than I remembered it being, because it's now like this integrated thing that works as well, in my opinion, as the Google stuff does. It's definitely, up to that level. And so against that, this is a really compelling solution for a school system or something that's on Microsoft, because you can get all your Microsoft stuff working, on a low-cost computer the same way it would on a Chromebook. The problem is that, think about an IT staff that's having to install a million of these. The updates are horrible. I guess you could update one and image it across the rest, but still, like, that's, not great. And from a consumer standpoint, if I get a Chromebook with the same hardware, I'm up and running, and yeah, you do have an update initially that goes through, but it's usually done in the first 20 minutes. Where are we right now? We are now easily an hour and 20 minutes into this, and this thing is still not fully up to date. And in fairness, I could have started using it, but what prompted me to go in and look for the updates was that it was running really slowly. And that's because it was doing a lot of updates in the background that was killing the processor and throttling it down. And that prompted me to say, okay, well, then I need to start putting more of these updates in so that I can get to a point where this thing is stable and able to idle its processor so we can let it cool off and run some benchmarks on it and stuff. But no such luck. So here we go. Now we're doing the cumulative update. Yeah. So we're going to have to come back to this in another round. Oh, but we did uninstall the antivirus. That helped initially. So now we're just running with the Microsoft one. And Martin makes exactly. If we hadn't uninstalled that, it would go there. Luther says abandon all. Yeah, I'm eager to see how Ubuntu runs on this when it's all done with its Windows updates here, because I think that will assist it. But like I said, like, this was not the experience with Windows 10 on this hardware. This is very much the same as the prior editions. I'm putting this one squarely on Microsoft and Windows 11. And again, we'll see how it runs when it's all done, but if this is what the answer to Chromebooks are, then they've got to improve that boot up experience. Because if I was working for a school IT department and I had hundreds of these to get set up ahead of the school year, I would not be happy right now. And I can tell you, just from my experience with our local school system, the Chromebooks are super easy. I mean, they are very, very quickly able to get going very, very quickly. And indeed, those of you who watch Stargate will get that one. Teal'c. Good to see you, Teal'c. And it looks like you've got the P90s and not your Jaffa weaponry. I'm a big fan of Stargate, in case anyone's aware of that. I haven't watched it in a while. I may just, I think it's on Netflix, or it's on Amazon Prime. I'll have to watch that again. But yeah, and like I said, I think once this is all done, this is going to be fine. But yeah, there you go. So we're going to come back to this, everybody. We're going to do a part 2. So stay tuned. I'm going to check my calendar for tomorrow because I've got a bunch of stuff going on. But let's see where we can squeeze this in, because I can get all this stuff. Maybe we'll see if maybe after tonight when the kids go to bed. Yeah, I might have some time in the morning. I could probably, maybe between like 2 and, I got to be out the door. Yeah. I may not get to it tomorrow. We'll see. Set your notifications. If you go over to the Amazon thing and follow me there, you will definitely get a notification. More so than you would on the YouTube side. But I have other work that needs to be done. So you can have a video to watch tonight. And it's like stuck at 0% downloading this cumulative update. And it looks as though, yeah, the processor is still freaking pegged on this Windows installing stuff. And here's the problem. So let's say like I load up, if I load up, let's go to Edge real quick just for the heck of it. It's not like this is running silently in the background or it's prioritizing. You know, it's still using every inch of that processor to keep that installation going in the background. So we're not seeing the true performance of this thing. You see how it's kind of laggy? Because, and this is what your first like couple of days with this computer are. So it almost makes it feel like it's more sluggish than it should be. Because you'll see this when we get to through this update thing in the review, you're going to see on that review that it's going to be a lot quicker when you're browsing the web than it is right now. But because it's got all this stuff running in the background, and because it's running the disk, and it's running the processor, and it's throttling down because it's getting too hot, yeah, that's where you run into stuff. So I do believe that my experience with this will be better when this is all done. But who the heck knows how long that's going to take. Yeah, it's not even the internet slowing it down. Certainly not at my house. We got plenty of gigabits here. I got 3 now. So, yep. There you go. But it was fun. David Anderson, actually, this comes with a year of Microsoft 365. So you get the full Microsoft Office with this. So, that makes it an interesting thing there. And yes, the Webb telescope is up and running. I'm excited. There was a lot of engineering and years that went into that. It's really, I'm so proud of that team. As a taxpayer, I feel like they were very responsible and successful in that. Okay. Well, we'll be back. This will work. And once it is all done updating, I'm going to let it sit overnight, and let's see where it ends up in the morning. But I will be back again before you know it. I've got a video ready to go for tonight. And what we're going to do tonight is talk about, on my wrap-up show, we're going to talk about my college class that I'm teaching. So I teach a college class once a week. And you'll learn about that. And maybe if you're interested, what I can do actually is bring some of the lecture stuff over to the channel so you can kind of take the class virtually, even though you can't get a credit from it. But why not be helpful to see how it goes. But it's fun. I'm enjoying the class. I got 9 students, and it's kind of an experimental class, and I'm actually trying to learn something along with them because I am curious from an academic standpoint. I was a student of communication in college. This is kind of an extension of my undergrad work 20-something years ago. But I'm curious as to whether or not what I am doing is a stampable model. Like, you know what I mean? Can you survive can you start from scratch as a commodity now? Because that's kind of what my content is very much commoditized. Can you start now as a commodity content creator and build an audience or build whatever goal you want to set for yourself? I think the answer is yes, but this will, this will kind of confirm or deny my suspicions. So that's from an academic standpoint, that's what I want to get out of it. And I am not I just have a bachelor's degree. I'm not in a master's program or anything, although I probably could maybe sign up for one. But that's kind of what I want to get out of the class. And for the students, they want to learn what it's about independent media in this day and age. And it's kind of fun because when I was a student there, this was 94 to 98 when I was there. So that was when the web was first coming into being. And there was I took a couple of experimental courses just like this one where the professor and us, we all kind of worked together to try to figure out what it is we were looking at, which is kind of where we're at here. So it's going to be fun. So you can check that out tonight on the wrap-up. I'll give you the full rundown. I got the whole syllabus up there. You can see all that stuff there, but it's lots of fun. Okay, well, I'm going to let this thing, I'm going to install every last update, and we'll come back, set your notifications, and we will have more on it. I was hoping that we would at least have half the stuff collected. I have a list of things that I do on these laptops. I was hoping that I could be through half of it by now, but no, we're going to be starting on the next one. So hit that notification bell, and I will talk to you soon. And yeah, I guess I technically I was asking around, like, can I call myself a professor even though I don't have a master's degree? Apparently you can. I prefer the term instructor. I feel that's more suited to my experience level, but we'll see how I do at the end of the semester. So there you go. All right, everybody. I will catch you on the flip side, and hopefully this laptop will be working by then. And again, I think you'll see it working much better once all the updates are in there. But that's going to be a point of contention. And it's right. Luther says it's not compatible with Windows 11. Yeah, it is sort of, but it may take a little bit of assembly first. So there you go. All right, everybody, we will be back again before you know it. Stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.